This is Tuesday, May 29th, year 2001. I wanted to take down something on tape so we have something to remember things I went through, some stuff that I got wrote down. So my children and grandchildren will know it someday or another when they have interest in it. It may not mean much to other folks, but it means a lot to me. The things that I sacrificed that me and Ruth made. After we got married, we'd been married about 2.5 years. We got married the 8th of November, 41. Then bombed Pearl Harbor 7th of November, 41. And we went to farming and didn't have to go to the army till June 10th, 44. I was then inducted 13th of June, 44. Went right to Camp Cross, South Carolina, and had 17 weeks of basic. She went down and stayed with me for a while, and finished up there, and come home for 10 days, delayed route, and went to Fort Meade, Maryland, and come home one time while I was at Fort Meade, Maryland, and then went overseas. But the weekend I come home was the worst weekend I've ever had, because we was expecting our Vicky to be born in February, and this was November, just before Christmas, and I had to go over leave her, and we were both squalling like young ones. But we done what we were supposed to do. I didn't never refuse nothing, didn't never volunteer for nothing, and got on the Queen Elizabeth in New York, Camp Jenks, New York. Just a little before Thanksgiving, on the boat going over on Thanksgiving of 44. Took us 5.5 days to go over, and went to Le Havre, France. I went to Glasgow, Scotland, just where we unloaded at. Went down through Scotland, through England, to Southampton, England, and crossed the English Channel to Le Havre, France. And we went on the end of France then, and there was 20,000 soldiers on the boat when we went over. And it was just a miracle that me and Strother stayed together all that time. We were in the barracks together at Camp Cross, South Carolina, and stayed together all that time and not realizing we were being together all that time. So we went on over and went to the displacement camp where we dispersed out and went out wherever they needed us as replacement. And me and him went to the same company and went to the same foxhole. That was Mark Strother from Concord. And we stayed in them same foxholes. Well, we didn't go up right then. We went up to, as a replacement, the outfit we joined had been up so long, I think they'd been up 144 days on the front line, and they got replaced. And I went back with them. Me and Strother went back with them and stayed in something like a asylum where it looked for Christmas. And we stayed there till it was snowing, and the first duty I done after I got over, got assigned to the outfit, was went out there and stood in the snow and stood guard with some engineers that was building a bridge across a creek. And I stood on a plank so my feet would stay warm, and stomped and kept them warm. And we stayed there, and the boys cleaned the rifle and everything. We went up when I went up to where they were at though that night, we didn't get there that day that we started. We went up a canal. I don't know where Strother was at that time, so went up that canal and they said, bed down, we're going to spend the night here, and I was right by my lonesome in that big canal. And I dug in the side of a rock, didn't know where nobody else was, and I know how warm that rock felt from the sun during the day. I dug in down a little furrow down inside that rock and spent the night right by myself. But there was other boys up and down that canal too, but I didn't know any of them. Then that's when we pulled back to we went back to the house and spent the night. And we spent that's when we spent the night in there, something like an asylum. We had a good Christmas. Slept on the floor. There was about 30 or 40 of us in that little house. Slept on the floor. Then we went up in the 2nd of February and got assigned to outfit. And that's when Strother got in the hole with me. I mean, we didn't know who was going to be in the hole with who while we were in that house. He got in the hole with me. And it was snowed and done a little everything, bad weather. And it's brought us an engineer's tool and said, dig good canal, dig good foxholes. We're going to stay there like turn 1. So we stayed there in them foxholes 42 days and nights on the hill. We go back about 1,000 yards for chow, and then come back up and get in them holes. And it snowed and this, and they strafed us. And I remember one time coming back to them holes and back at the chow line. The bullets was whizzing. They were firing over the line from the German side, and I just turned my head and kept on walking, held my helmet down on my face, so if I got hit, I wasn't hit in the face, maybe. Kept walking, and the bullet just whizzing, and got back to the hole. We'd been there a while, and Strother was having a lot of sinus trouble. So he told me that morning, said, I'm going to the aid station, stay a while, and see if I can get some medicine for my sinus trouble. So he left, carried his rifle, nothing but his rifle. I stayed in that foxhole that day by myself. About dark, edge of dark, a little after, the lieutenant come around and said, saw me in the hole by myself, said, don't stay there by yourself. Go over there and stay with them boys over there. It was Stollers and Hickson. They built a nice bed, nice hole, about the size of a double bed. Pretty good and deep, and had straw in it, and had doors over it, and had a dirt bank on it. So I went over there, and they had to sleep sideways for me to get in there with them. But they didn't complain. They were Stollers from Texas and Hickson from New Jersey. And hadn't been there a little while with them boys on my side, left my rifle up on top of the hole, and they started shelling us from over on the German side. And we was just drawed up down in there as low as we could get, and a shell hit the hole I just got out of, tore all 2 pieces. My gas mask and my raincoat, my blankets missed, rolled up in that hole. And the lieutenant come around after barraging over, see if anybody got hurt. And he come by the hole that I was supposed to be in and said, them boys got killed. I said, no, I didn't, because I was over here. So that was when the Lord was with me at that time. And then my rifle was laying up on the edgeways on the hole that I was on, and a piece of shrapnel went over halfway through the stock of that and stuck, and I had to put it out of it so I could get my oil thing out in the back end of it. So we hadn't been up there long before we dug a single hole way out in front of the front line, no man's land. That was the outpost. 2 men would stay out there at night. We had a telephone line run out there on the ground. And I knew one night I was standing guard, and one of the other boys he was squatting in the hole. The hole was about deep as my shoulders, I might, a little less than that. He was squatting down or sitting down in the hay in the hole, and I was standing there facing the Germans. The first thing I knew, Shindu had come out there following that phone line and bumped him on top of the head. The wind was blowing, the snow on the ground. I whirled around to see what it was, and there he stood, and I threw my rifle right in his chest and pulled the trigger, but I let off on it quick enough so it didn't fire. It scared me to death. He didn't ever find out how close I'd come to killing him. But that's just one of the instances that Lord was with us over there. So I may not tell things in the order that it happened, but I can tell them. That's the way I remember it. That maybe one day I remember things that happened that day, but I don't remember what happened the day before or the day after. So we stayed there them 42 days and nights, and we dug some holes out on the road, which was about as far as near the Mickey's in front of the front line. And we got there and spent the night, some of us, about 4 of us, I believe, in 2 holes. And one night, we heard some old hobnails coming. It was blacktop road. It was down, the road was lower than the field on each side. And there come a German soldier behind us, and them hobnail boots were popping. And one of the boys hollered halt. He didn't stop. He started shooting right off the shoulder of the road. And that bullets hitting that blacktop, fire just flying. That boy just screaming and running. He got away. And, but he set down a bag he had on his shoulders, and one of the boys called back to the outfit and told them what happened, what was going on, and they said, "Don't go to that bag till daylight." So the next morning, as soon as it got light, me and him we walked down crawled down the ditch where that bag was and opened it. And it was some loaf bread. He'd been out there on the front line somewhere and got lost and had some old loaf bread in that tow bag, and was bringing it back. And another time a German got lost and come by our holes, and I was asleep, and the boy that was supposed to stand guard with me, he was asleep too. It was his time to be on guard. And he was asleep, but the next hole hollered that German soldier, but he didn't stop. He started firing. He fired 2 or 3 times. The rifle jammed. It was so cold. It was just two of the essence that he was we had close calls. But when the 15th of February, we did capture a soldier, and he told us when we were going to move off, and the 15th of February we're going to push off from there. And while we were there, we got word that there's 50 German tanks headed to the line where we were at. Everybody stayed awake that night. And that sure did scare us. And so we stayed on alert all night, but the tanks didn't ever show up, and we were mighty glad they didn't. And but when we pushed off from there that morning, I remember that it warmed up a little bit. There was ice on the ground right on. And we went down in the road, out on the field, hadn't gone a little way, and it's hold up. And we were laying out on the ground then, and the bullets just whizzing over our heads. And James Hyvey from St. Paul, North Carolina, up close to Fayetteville, he said, "One of these boys chucked me with a rock." And he said, No, I said it to him. He felt then the blood run down his leg. He caught a bullet through the muscle part of his leg above his knee, and he got a chance to get back to the aid station. Then that's far. He went in that attack. But he got well, and they cut that hole all the way out of his leg, and he come back before the war over to where we were at. And we pushed on then, and we were going on. We were walking in the fire into to the building, the old farm building. We'll take them. And one of the boys in this squad went to the right and come around into a kind of a valley place to it. We were going straight into it. And we were firing, walking in the fire. And they hollered, "Hold up, hold the fire." And we held up and stood up, bunched up too close actually. And a machine gun opened up on us. There was 2 machine guns between us and them buildings. But the other boys thought they had the buildings captured, but they'd got the buildings, but the machine guns between the buildings and us. Hit 5 of us, and they saw where the smoke come from, so they started picking on the hole and captured him. And one of them had got hit, had a grazed place on his head, and he had it wrapped there, and where he'd been bleeding. So we got down to the building and captured them and got them behind the buildings there, and there's 5 of them. And they were scared to death. And they were just boys just like we were, blonde-headed boys. Most of the Germans were blonde-headed. One of them ordered a cigarette, and one of our boys gave him a light for a cigarette. But we went on around them buildings in that evening, went out on the flat, and they started shelling us again. And I remember a shell come in, and everybody hit the ground just flat as they could get, and that shell didn't go off. It went end over end, end over end. It was about 4 inches in diameter, about like a 4-inch stovepipe. And I felt a bubble come over me when that thing hit and didn't go off. The Lord kept that thing from exploding. And just about that time, Mickey was born at home, 15th of February now. And it was evening over there, but it was morning over here. So that's just, and then that night, we pulled back to the buildings, and it was pretty big barns and a pack house or whatever. But there was a big old 2-horse wagon under the, in the barn there with cement floor, either a hard floor, felt like cement. And I suggested to the other boy, let's get under that wagon for extra protection, because they always shell us wherever we spend the night, because they know where we're going to spend the night. Sure enough, they were shelling them buildings, and those slate roofs on, and they, when that shell hit it, the slate would slide off, and they killed one of the lieutenants that night. And that's about all I remember from right then. And I've got some things wrote down that they won't be in the order they come. But the Stollers and the Hickson that I slept with back there, they shared their hole with me. Stollers got killed the day that I hit. The same machine gun killed him that hit me. The same spurt from that machine gun killed him and hit 3 more boys at the same time. And Hickson got killed 22nd of April. So makes me wonder why they got killed and I didn't. And, so I'm gonna have to read a little bit and pick out what I want to tell next. And well, I just start lieutenant work, because it's not in the order it happened, no how. But Stollers and Hickson's personality were just as fine a boy as you've ever seen. Stollers was married, he lived in Texas. Hickson wasn't married. Both of them nice looking boys. Hickson lived in New Jersey. And having that little Mexican come up and join me after Strother left, his name was Trujillo. And he wouldn't stay awake till stand his guard till they threatened court-martial, and then he done pretty good. And we moved on, got down here. We took one town, and then they collected the dead German soldiers and brought them in that had got killed around that town. And then bring them in on the Jeep and trailer, and a trailer load of dead German soldiers, and pitch them off on the sidewalk. They like to throw it on boiling wood or something. And it was hard to look at them boys as somebody's sons or husbands or whatever, nice looking blonde headed boys. And one day we was walking, got up that morning, and the water had rose in my hole and wet everything I owned sleeping on, wet wet. And we had to move out, so I had to roll that mess up and carry it with me. And it got heavy. We walked so far, I got so heavy, I was going to have to leave it or either drop out and stay with it. So I just threw it off my shoulder in the road and put it down and left it. That night, when we went bed down, we got to a barn and went upstairs, and there was a whole lot of loose hay up there. And I stepped on that loose hay, and one of the boys shared his blanket with me. So I'd have something to cover up with. And one day we were moving like that, and we were going down the road moving. Way in the night, they said, get off on the shoulder of the road, get in the field and dig in. So I went right out in the field and dug in right by myself. The rest of the boys were scattered around me. But dug me a hole big enough to get down in and lay down, get below the ground. That's mainly what you wanted. So if a shell come, you'd be below the ground. But it was just as hard and rocky as it could be. But I don't remember waking up the next morning and nothing. And I go down here. It's one of the towns that the man and the woman and the child was under a tin shelter propped up against a wall on a building had been blown down by bums, and they had a little fire out in front, and they was cooking something or making them coffee or something that morning. That's how bad that looked. And then one day we were taking some buildings in town, and we were filing in there, running in there with the rifles ready, and the other boys was cleaning out downstairs, and it fell my lot to go upstairs. I had to go upstairs first, and right at the top of the stairs was a door, and it was locked. I was scared to death, but nothing to do but go open that door and see what behind it. And I slipped up there and turned the knob and kicked it open and jumped in, and with my rifle ready. No one was sold up there. So that's one of the times that you're scared and stayed scared all the time. There'd been somebody up there that had got killed. And then another time I felt my lot to go behind the house. One time they were boys were going in front of the house, and felt my lot to go behind. So I run around behind and stood guard the back door in case anybody would come out the back. There wasn't nobody around there. So a lot of times house to house fighting, you shoot the house, shoot it in the windows, or shoot in at the house doors, and then see who's in there. But that's one way we've had to do it. And I was in the field one time and saw tanks, the German tank and the American tank, firing at each other. And we didn't stay around and see who won. You see them when they'd fire and rock back. Me and Pasno done that. We got behind a building under some poles that were propped up. We watched them a while. Seemed like that was just outside of Mannheim. I don't know what town it was. I don't remember the little towns. And then little Shindu, he got the Bronze Star for when we were taking them phone buildings, like I was telling about a while ago. Our ammunition got low, and I went down. I didn't tell about the tripwire. Went down across before we got to the phone buildings. There's a tripwire down there that run through a little stop on top of Staples. And if you tripped it anywhere, it would all blow up everywhere around there. So we got over it. Shindu got over it, and then I got over it, stepped over it. And I was on out of the way, and Dunkelberg come along and tripped one of them and blew the foot off. I didn't look back. I heard it. One of the boys lay inside of me after we got to where we were in front. He looked back and says Dunkelberg had tripped one of them, and he panicked, started hobbling around on that one leg and screaming, and fell on another and blew him up and killed him. But Shindu was my corporal. I reckon. Think about it now, that's what he was. I think he was a corporal. I believe he made Buck Sergeant. He's a little Mexican from now, New Mexico. Me and him, it come to my mind that me and him and two more boys was come out of the woods beside of a Autobahn highway, going on the outside of Mannheim, Germany, and our objective was to take that crossroad down in front of us. There was a single road going into Mannheim, and the 4-lane was going bypassing. We were to capture that crossroad, not let any reinforcement get to Mannheim, because they were taking that town that day, and the small arms firing, the tanks, and the artillery was carrying on up there. This raising cane, firing. But us four was to take that crossroad and hold it. So we'd come out of the woods, and we saw a car under the bridge on that Autobahn highway, and they saw us. I reckon they were fixing to leave. They were getting in it as quick as they could leave, and Shindu said, "Let them have it. They get in the way." So we started firing on that car, and they jumped out of the car and left it sitting there and run. I don't know where they went, but we got there. There was holes in the car, and it was a long ways off. But we got to the crossroad. And we went on in the crossroad and went up in a building, in a 2-story building in the corner. We went upstairs and opened some windows facing away from Mannheim down that single road. And he said, "Be ready. He said, reinforcements coming. We'll be coming up that road." And we hadn't been up just a few minutes. Here come a big truckload of German soldiers coming up that road, and he said, let them have it. And we started shooting that truck right out in that top window, and they went mighty far down the ramp down there. We were shooting them in the windshield and in the radiator or wherever we could hit them. And they were moving, you know, and we were able to hit the soldiers, but they run off on that road and run down in the field and didn't even get the rifle. The rifle was sitting in the corner of the truck. And they jumped out of the truck and we run down there and captured the whole truckload, and they didn't fire a shot. And I don't remember where we hit anybody or not. I wish I had a video of it so I could tell where we hit the truck or any soldiers. The old the officer that was with him, he didn't want to surrender to us, but privates or corporate. He wanted to surrender to a commissioned officer. And boy, he got treated rough. They jerked him around and slammed him in a Jeep and carried him away from there. But we got that whole truckload and they didn't fire a shot. And we were going around the mountain. I got over in the Alps Mountains in a convoy. And a plane come over the mountains and strafing the convoy. And I don't remember anybody getting hit, but he was strafing the convoy. He just hit it one time, I reckon, and went on his way. And then we were riding one time on trucks. Infantry didn't walk all the time. If you're moving down the line or won't hit any resistance, you're liable to ride a tank or liable to ride a truck or whatever. I was in the corner of the truck right up in front. One of them 2-ton trucks, tandem wheels, and with no top on it. It had a cloth top you could put on it. Sergeant Chandler was sitting in the front, right in front of me, down in the passenger seat. Somewhere we had captured a little old German boy. I don't think it was no soldier. He was sitting on the fender up in front of him. I was sitting there and he had his carbine laying across his legs, and he turned that thing and fired right in that little old boy's back and killed him. He rolled off of that fender right down that bank, and the truck didn't even break its speed. That was uncalled for. But that's part of war. His brother had just got killed a few days before. His brother was an officer somewhere in Germany, and he got killed, and he got word of it. So he got him a German to pick up for that one. But that's one of the things that happened. But while we're back on that line where I stayed 42 days and nights, they brought up some bed sheets one night and safety pins. So they thought the Germans were moving in closer to us, so want to go out there and stay at night and see if we can hear them digging, because the ground was frozen. So 3 of us, me and LaRue, and I don't know who the other one was, putting them sheets over our head and put a rifle on our shoulder with the barrel down so it would be under the sheet too. We went way out there in front of the front line and sat down on a tank track. Nothing a German tank track, because I don't think Americans had in there. We sat there a little while and listened, couldn't hear nothing, went back. And they let us go back and take a shower. For that, that was the reward we got. The other boy was back in the hole, but that was the only shower I got in 7 months. Didn't change clothes in the mornings in 7 months. And I didn't sleep in bed but one time in the 7 months. We were in a town there one time, and me and Pazno and one more said, go to separate houses, go to different houses and scatter out. So it all be bunched up. And we three boys went to that building. There was 2 old ladies and a man. And we went in and we made them understand we want to spend the night. And they showed us a room with 2 double beds. And they took our rifles and put them behind the door. I watched the boy and they took up my rifle. He wanted my rifle and I handed it to him. Put it behind the door because they didn't want to harm us. And he slept under a feather bed and on a feather bed. And that was comfortable after laying on the ground in the foxhole and everything with them dirty clothes. But we didn't pull our clothes off then. And I remember spending the night there, and I don't know what happened the next morning. We left, they got out there. But that's one of the things that happened. And then we were in town that night. We took the town. They said search the town. They told me and I can't remember who the other two was. Go down the sidewalk and go down that part of town. We were going along with a rifle talking. First thing you know, three German soldiers come out under a shelter. Looked like plow works or something, old farm tools was back in there. And they had spent the night under that shelter, and they come out with their hand on their head, surrendered. And the motion that our rifle and their rifles back in there. So they didn't fire a shot at, and they could have killed us just as easy without even us knowing where it come from. But they didn't. They were ready to quit. They had enough of war. So I took them and carried them back to the company, and the other boys kept going searching right on. And then after the war, about time the war was over, we were standing guard in a castle in Germany. And I was riding a bicycle coming back from being on guard, and a little boy come around behind the house with a pistol in his hand. I stopped that bicycle quick as I could, and he was wanting to give me that pistol. Actually, it was a flare gun. It was a gun, pistol about like a 12-gauge shotgun would be if you cut it off and make a pistol out of it, a big barrel, and it was a flare gun. And he wanted to give me that thing, and I was glad to get it and be on my way, because I was way in the part of town nobody with me. On the 22nd of April is when Hickson got killed. We had walked all night, and way in the morning hours we got tanks to go in a building. We were going down the street there, and tank was crawling along there with us in town. Everything was dark. And they shot that tank with an anti-tank gun, and it hit the curb, hit the pavement. He tried to knock the track off, I reckon. Hit the pavement and slid on and hit the curb and killed the lieutenant. And I was on the sidewalk, and one German civilian up the stairs in one of them buildings hollered, "What's going on?" or whatever he said, and one of the boys threw the rock at him. But we got in and spent the night there, and next morning, it was 22nd of April, and it was snowing, and we started to push out that town. There was nothing but flat country to a mountain, and we got out a little ways, and we just couldn't make it. It was so much artillery, much resistance. So the holler fall back, and we fell back and got in the building and called up the tanks. Tanks pulled up the edge there, and we started firing big guns and 50 caliber machine guns or whatever, the 50s or the 30s one, toward that mountain. And they were firing, and some of the boys was crying, just panicked, just had a fit. Wright, I believe his name, he slapped a German woman for crying and squalling. She was screaming too. He slapped her to make her hush. And I was the 9th man out of that them buildings going toward that mountain, running with the tank firing over my head, some tracers, and it hit the mountain and glanced up in the mountain. And we weren't even running close together, a long ways apart, because I had an old full feed pack on and got that mountain. It was so steep we had to pull ourselves up and crawl and go up that mountain. Got up on top, there's a dog tied up there with wire barking. One of the boys killed him, make him hush. And after I got up there, they found out Hickson had got killed back there behind me. Now, one thing that I wish I'd have found out before I was over with, how he got killed, what was a gun, a bullet, or a shell. I never found out. That's one of the regrets I have of it. That Hickson got killed. We got up there in tanks, and as we got up there, they come around some other way, and we got on tanks and rode them there for a while, went somewhere. And then one night I was taking a railroad station right at the edge of dark, and bullets are flying, and I'm telling you right now, we're getting some resistance. And I was on the sidewalk walking, and the tank was crawling along the side of the road and on the street. and I didn't know what he was going to do. And he stopped that left track and whirled that tank around up on the curb and fired that big gun about over my head into a building way back up on the hill. I blasted it away, and like the bust of my eardrum. I believe that's so much problem now in my right ear. And I remember standing down there side of a railroad car and getting the right side of the wheel for protection. And I wonder now how we found our outfit and how we found each other in the dark like that. When we got ready to bed down or bunch up that night, I don't know how we found each other. But we take that station and one of this train station that won't get no resistance, and we kept the railroad station, and in the station there was a big old thing they put. It was locked up, a safe, iron safe. And some of the boys upstairs piffing around seeing what they could find, and some of them downstairs. We opened the door and we told them to get back out of the way, and we were going to shoot that tank with a bazooka. And the boys upstairs right on. We back down the street and shot that tank with a bazooka. Let's see what that thing would do to that safe. It hit the table. We'll shoot over a table about like this. And it hit that table and blew it all to pieces and set it on fire. Papers flew everywhere. And we ran in there and put it out. Of course, we was a big life to all of us, you know. Just something to keep this, stop the being so bored with it. And we took a little place called Geldorf. I found it on the map. We captured that and we went right on through it, the little settlement. And we walked. And we got a long way from there and got word that the Germans had counterattacked in Geldorf to go back. So we turned around and walked right back to Geldorf and got there, and General Dean was laying on a stretcher. He got hit somehow or another. And I remember that mighty well. He was laying there. And I don't think it was nothing too serious. He was just glad he got hit so he could get out of that place. And then we got one place where the Germans had built a cement pillbox. It was built big enough for 4 or 5 men, but it was round, just as round as a ball. But it had a slide door in it that you could shut it. It was just wide enough to be the fire out of. You shut it from the inside. And there was a dog tied on that hill that had died, that was security to bark if anything come around. He had died, tied with the wire out there. And I stayed some in that cement hole. That was real protective. We got in Austria and we played some after Waddell in Austria and liked the scenery in there. Got some baseball stuff and we played ball and carried on, fished. We went down and fished in the creek one time, carried some hand grenades, and Lamar pulled off his clothes and got up on a post. And we threw a hand grenade in the water, and he'd get up on the post and jump off in there and get it. Get the fish. We caught a right smart fish. They looked like robins, and we were dressing them, and we're going to cook them on a wood stove. We built such a hot fire in the wood stove and set smut on fire. And the fire was going out the top of the chimney, and those Germans come down the street dragging a water hose, and their water supply was coming off the mountain. There wasn't no tank. It's just the water pressure off the mountain. And they went up on the top and put a hose in that chimney and put it right down the chimney and put the fire out. And by that time they said, "Pack, we're going home." So we didn't care no more about that. We let it go. And we didn't ever eat them fish, but we was too big a hurry to get home. And then way back during the war, though, we bedded down one night, and the truck driver and the Jeep driver and then one of their officers come to our house. two infantrymen to go with the jeep driver and the truck driver and that lieutenant after a truck that got left the day before, or that evening. And of course they picked me and Slater. Slater would be arm ammunition. So I'm going to get him a rifle and plenty of ammunition, and maybe get me a rifle and some plenty of ammunition. We hopped in the back of that jeep, and here we went. Didn't know where we were going or what we were going for. We got there in the jeep, found a tree you could turn around under in the shade, in the shadow. It was moonlight. A little narrow blacktop road with gravel on it. And, he turned around and got ready to leave. So me and Slater and the truck driver got out, went to where the truck was. It was probably from here to Roy's or Mickey maybe, 300 or 400 yards. We crawled down the side ditches to where that truck was, and it was headed the other way. It had got fired on just before dark. And he jumped out and left it. He was going out after some water. And he crawled up there, and he opened that door and got in that truck. And you could see way down the valley from where we were. And we were ready. He cranked that truck, and it was cold nature, and it was popping and snapping and carrying on. He like never got it running like it ought to be. And he's trying to turn around on that little narrow road. It was a 2-ton truck. Every time he let his wheels, clutch out, the wheels spin. It was just a carrying on. And he backed about the third or fourth time, and we saw he was going to make it. Me and Slater took off to the jeep. And that jeep was taking off when we got there. I don't reckon he'd left it, but he was moving when we hit the back of it. We went back, and that truck didn't never get a shot fired at us. And that's one of the places that our guardian angel was looking at it, because they were there. They fired on it the evening before and then left it. And got back, and the boys said, "Where you boys been?" It's kind of aggravating. We'd been out, and they'd been out there in the house all the time. Seemed like I got called for more extra duty and mess like that, I reckon, because I was willing to go. They never do no complaining. I done what I was asked to do. I didn't volunteer for nothing. But I done what I was asked to do. And then another tank I like got killed on kind of a tank. We were going to a backer patch behind the building at some houses, and it was the backer hanging under a shelter, shade cured it, and I was in the backer patch. It was dry. It was old tobacco, dried up. And the tank was going along there with me, and the German shot that tank with an anti-tank gun, and it missed the tank and went over my head, and I felt the wind from that shell when it passed my head and hit a tree out there behind me and blew it all to pieces. And everybody flew back, and I don't know what got the tank. The tank, I didn't stay around and see, but evidently he pulled back too. And I went there and dropped over in the canal and dug in. I didn't want to go within that water. The water was about waist deep when you're about it. I didn't want to get wet. I had to stay wet the rest of the time, so I dug in. But I dug in and went to sleep. I don't know why in the world John didn't shoot me in the middle there digging on the side of that canal. And, but I was just, my guardian angel was looking at me when that tank fired and missed me. And then they didn't fire on me while I was digging in. And they regrouped back there, and I was missing. The lieutenant, no, the captain come back around. He found me laying in the whole sleep. He called me, and I got up and went back. He didn't fuss me out or anything. That's one thing they didn't do in combat. They didn't do no fussing. They would ask you to do something, tell you to do something, but they didn't cuss at you like they did on these movies now. I don't even know to look at it when you see these man-made movies and the officer cussing and storming out at the boys and with a cigar in the side of his mouth. That ain't the way it was. But I'm going to quit for a while, and I'll come back after a while.